welcome to the Elissa Goodman Show. And today I have Samara Zelniker. She has a company called Mindfulness Matters. I absolutely am into this whole mindfulness because I think it's like crucial in this day and age to actually get to be ultimately healthy. You need to really tap into your mindfulness, your passion, your purpose. And I'm going to let her tell you all the things she's doing because it's really exciting. Welcome,
Thank you.
Samara.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you. And I've heard a lot about you. So it's so fun to finally have you on the show. And so tell me a little bit about like how'd you get into the whole wellness space?
Sure, definitely. So I have a story just like, everybody else, right? And I was working in fashion, was a family business, thought every girl's dream, kind of being groomed to take over the company. This is what I want. And
so it's your parents' company?
It was my mom's company. I mean, I worked in other companies at first because she was like, you want a job, go get one.
Right.
So that's the kind of...
She didn't just bring you into the fold.
Which was good.
Yeah.
And I actually, in the last year working, developed strep throat 3 times in 1 year.
Wow.
And then I went to go board a flight, and it was a sales meeting in Brazil, and I stepped down and broke my foot completely out of nowhere.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, Samara, you need to make a change.
Right.
Like, clearly there's something else happening here. I was young, I was 24, I was healthy, I was like, what is going on?
Right.
And I came back and had to wear this boot on my foot for 8 weeks. And it was the beginning of the summer, and I was living in Toronto at the time after the cold winter.
Right.
Yeah. And I ended up enrolling in a yoga teacher training at the end of the summer.
Even with the boot?
So once the foot was healed, exactly. And I went to the yoga teacher training thinking, I'd practice yoga. I'd actually done my first yoga class in LA like 10 years prior. And I thought like, I'll just get better at yoga. This will be great.
Right.
And I went to the training, and the first night people are crying, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in yoga jail. What did I do? And, by the end, I was totally enamored and obsessed with it. And what I was really in love with was just like the concepts and the idea that we are not our thoughts, and that we can use movement to get out of our heads and into our bodies. Wow. So 6 months later, I was part of a teaching team that went to Africa, that went to Nairobi, Kenya, with something called Africa Yoga Project.
Okay.
And we helped train 150 people from all over Africa to be yoga teachers. And what was my biggest catalyst was these people that came from slums were going and teaching yoga in jails and hospitals and schools and offices, and were really happy.
Yeah.
And the thing is, yoga was really the medium for transformation to empower them as leaders. And I said, if they can do it and they come from nothing, then so can we. And so that's when I came home and I quit my job and I started Mindfulness Matters.
Wow. The Africa thing is so fascinating to me. Like that is, so do you know how it's going, the program over there? Or do you follow?
Oh yeah, there's still trips all the time. It's something that I would suggest for everyone to do if you get the opportunity. The woman, Paige Ellenson, she's from New York originally, and she has this amazing social entrepreneurship business there.
Okay.
Where these people, again, like they're given a purpose. And it's just so incredible to me what happens when people are given a purpose. Is that they flourish.
Yeah. And so that's what you've been watching happen with your business. I mean, so you haven't been in LA for very long, right? You were saying not even quite a year yet?
Exactly. Yeah. So from Toronto, where I established my business and built a following and taught in schools and offices.
So did you teach yoga in schools too? And did you teach mindfulness as well? So the combination of both. Okay.
Yeah. So it's definitely transformational yoga, I would say. So there's little nuggets of wisdom dropped in there.
Right.
And I ended up moving to Europe. I moved to Budapest, Hungary, where, just, casual.
Right. So you're a traveler in every way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I also think you get too comfortable, so I like to push my limits. And
you like to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I do. Definitely. I'm happy here now, though. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's comfortable here. So.
Yeah, it feels good.
Right.
It feels good. So I did that where...
did you do your company in Budapest as well?
I did. So I opened up a pop-up yoga studio when I first arrived. Okay. And I also connected with another studio there and created and taught a yoga teacher training.
So great.
And what I realized too, and what I did was I brought a lot of my experience with me there, but I left my income stream at home. So I was like, what can I do that will enable me to do this from anywhere? And that's where the integrative coaching came in.
Okay.
And that's kind of, the story that led me to California. And, now what I find I do, I lead, health and wellness is such a big part of it, but it always comes back down to mindset shift.
Yeah.
Right. So it can be you're coming because you want to lose weight or because you're having an issue at work or whatever, but it always comes down to like those patterns that we hold in our mind. And it's funny because when we get to the root of those, then all the other things start to improve.
Right. Right. So how do you help people get to the root of these things in their mind?
Totally. So I like to streamline systems and put practices into place. So we look at your diet, we clean it up.
Okay.
So
is that the first thing?
You know what? I let the client dictate what the
Okay.
first thing is
Right.
because they'll come to me, and my program is minimized to maximize, as I mentioned,
Yeah.
which is the idea
That's
that
a great saying,
well, you know what?
because it's not fear, but you don't feel overwhelmed by getting into this
Well, that's
by
what,
saying that.
that's it. And I tell people when you come to me, it's not going to be a learning, it's an unlearning. So it's an unlearning of like all the layers that we've put on ourselves that stop us from like listening to like that truth that we already have within us. I just help you get back home. I help you get back to that. And we start in the program, we'll create, 6-month goals, 3-month goals, and 1-month goals.
Okay.
And I like to make it really actionable, but there's a very big balance between doing and being. So you don't have to do everything. Sometimes it's just taking a walk on your own or coming back to that inner listening. So whatever the client's kind of dictating it will be, we will focus on cleaning up your diet because if you want to live a really amazing life, you have to be putting amazing things into your body.
Yes.
As you know.
Yes. So important.
So important. And then exercising. How are you moving your body every day? How are you detoxing? How are you, getting out of your head and into your body?
Right.
We spend so much of our time living up here when we have this amazing vessel that gives us so much information all the time.
Right.
It's like when you walk into a room and you like meet someone, you're like, oh, they have a weird energy. Like you feel that in your body.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like tapping.
Yeah.
And
You don't feel
tuning.
in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you feel like, oh, I know I need to go and have a conversation with that person, or I'm going to take this street today.
Right.
Because you bump into someone you end up that you were thinking about or things like that. So I help you kind of get back into those like aha moments. I always tell my clients there's no such thing as coincidences.
Right. I love that too.
But that magic is happening all around us. And
There's a reason for us meeting and crossing paths.
Absolutely.
When we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does it take, when clients come to you, I guess it just depends on the client too. Is it a 1-month program, 2, 3, or does it just depend on where they're at?
Sure.
Like
so,
how much they
so it's
need?
like a format that I like to follow. So usually I suggest that we work together for 6 months.
Okay.
If people want to do 3, we can do that also.
Okay.
But 6 months
6 months is where it really makes the magic happen.
That's how I feel. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And it's funny because I just hosted a retreat in Costa Rica and I told everyone when they arrived, they're like, oh, we're coming to do yoga and eating healthy food. And at the opening ceremony, I was like, this is not an accident that you're here.
Right.
You guys are all here for a reason. And they're like rolling their eyes. And I'm like, okay, whatever. We just want to do yoga and like have a week on the beach.
Have a little vacation.
Exactly. And by the end, every single one of them who came from all over the world they were like, oh my God, I just had an interview with this person, or we're weirdly related, or I was just having this conversation. And I was like, they were like, how weird is that? And I kept walking by and I'm like, there's no such thing as coincidences. And they started to be like, I get it now.
Right. Right.
So it does just, sometimes to drop into the magic that's currently happening. It's like, we got to unlearn. We got to take those layers off. We have to take, I always say, like, take shoulds and replace them with coulds.
Yep.
And open up to what's already happening. So we usually work together within a 6-month framework.
Is that a weekly working together?
So it's 2 coaching calls a month.
Okay.
So it's bi-monthly. Everything's done virtually.
Okay.
And then there's group coaching calls within the program also. So people get additional support and they get, mindfulness exercises and yoga, like a yoga video and a recipe and, all the things that help you view health from a 360-degree approach, which is, again, the way I, feel like things need to be
Right.
more
Right.
focused towards. And so we do that, and we streamline everything. And we also look at your career and like, what are you doing that lights you up every day?
Right.
You know, like what gets you out of bed in the morning, and if you're doing it, great. And if you're not, why? And how can we get you more towards doing that? We look at your relationships, like do you have relationships with people who are giving you energy, or are your relationships
Draining you.
Yeah.
Right. And that, I feel like that's such a huge topic. So we were just talking about that. Like I'm trying to teach my girls, like you could tell when someone drains you, but some people, younger generation doesn't know that. Like they don't know what that means. You know, they've been friends with them forever and they walk away, but they're just their friends. So even though they don't feel good after they've left that person, they feel like, well, that's just the way they are.
Right.
But it's not really filling you up. And that's so crucial, isn't it, these days? Like to do what you need to do in your life and to really live the best, thriving, happy life.
Well, that's exactly it. And it's about creating that discernment. Like it's about being like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, that didn't fill up my energy.
Right.
And that's okay. And maybe, you know, I'm going to put up a boundary around that, because people are like, oh, well, I'm going to do it that way because I've always done it that way. Right? And it's giving yourself permission to play big and to say, hey, you know what, that doesn't feel right anymore. And I don't want to do that.
Right.
Right. So we create a baseline of our health, whether it's food, whether it's relationships, whether it's whatever. And we just kind of get used to feeling groggy in the morning or needing something sweet after we eat, or you know, not feeling comfortable in our clothes, or not feeling fulfilled from relationships, because we just get, you know, we get into these patterns. And it's the idea of, well, actually, no, you deserve to live this incredible life. You deserve to have everything that you want. Let's rejig that baseline. Like, let's get back to those foundational elements. And that comes with deciding what your non-negotiables are. So like, what are your non-negotiables? Like, if you had, what's your ideal day? What does it look like? And can we put those in place? And can we put those in place regularly?
So is that something you would recommend to people out there listening to the show, is like write down what your non-negotiables are for the day? Is that one of the, like, if there are 3 things that you could tell somebody out there, what would they be? To start a practice of getting back in tune with yourself. And
absolutely. So it's asking yourself those questions, like what makes me happy?
What makes me happy? That's simple.
What makes me happy?
Yeah.
How do I want to feel?
Yeah. Okay. So what makes me happy? How do I want to feel?
And then what do I want to bring in? What do I want to attract in? So when we start, like, from, you know, and all the neuroscience stuff fascinates me of mindfulness, but what we focus on expands, right? So if you're every day thinking, I'm not good enough, oh my God, I still have a million things to cross off my to-do list. I have to do this, I have to do that, I'm fat, I'm, you know, whatever that looks like, then that's all you're going to see.
Right. So true.
But if you start to focus the other way, and, you know, I'm sure you've heard having a gratitude practice is, that's what we start to see.
Yeah.
And I like to give people an example of, like, take the next day and just notice all the red things, like, that come into your...
And the red things are like alerts?
And,
like
anything that's
negative?
red. Anything that's red. No, like the color red.
Okay, the color
like
red.
The color red. Like right now, like your shirt's red, like there's red on the flowers. And then you'll start to notice that, like, I don't want to give away the punchline, but you're going to see a million red things.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe you did the exact same thing you did the day before and you didn't notice any of them.
Right. True.
And so it's like what we focus on expands.
Yeah, so you weren't present at all.
Right. Or it's not, it's just also like you get an opportunity to direct your thoughts. And so...
And you're in charge.
Exactly.
Where we think we aren't in charge, right? Most of the people that come to you feel like they're just out of control. Like somebody else is taking them down the path instead of themselves, right?
Exactly. It's the idea of overwhelm. And life will do that to us, right? Because there's constantly things happening all the time.
Yeah.
But actually, we get to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what helps you create that space in your life is defining what your non-negotiables are. I know for me, it's important to move my body every day.
And what do you do to move your body?
Yoga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Yoga. But
do you do any other kind of exercise?
Yeah. I started going to Barry's boot camp like once a week.
Okay. That's hardcore.
Yeah, I'm like,
I've done that.
Yeah, it is really hardcore.
It is hardcore.
But that was just also like listening to my body and realizing, okay, I wanted something a little bit more intense and I could just do it once a week.
Right.
But usually what I love about yoga is we have so many stimuli in our life that crank up our adrenaline, right?
True.
stress being the major number one factor.
Right.
But, you know, we live in cities, or, you know, we have loud noises. We have our phones that are on alert, right? So we're trained to be like, oh, call and response. We get this alert. We have to answer it right away.
Yeah.
Right. So we're constantly in that fight or flight mode, which makes our parasympathetic nervous system like be jacked up.
Yeah.
Whereas an exercise like yoga is going to lower what's happening in our bodies. It's going to reduce those stressful stimulus responses, and it's going to like have us operate from a place of calm.
I know. It's become such a big movement, and no wonder why, you know, meditation and yoga, we need it so bad. It's like something that is, like, you're right, is a non-negotiable. Should be I know it could be for people.
Yes,
exactly. So what is another non-negotiable for you?
So another non-negotiable for me is being in nature. And I think that's why I struggled living in Canada for so long, because it was cold for so many months out of the year.
Did you sometimes not go out for?
I mean, it was
still
just,
went out.
Yeah, I'm a California girl at heart, and so I love the warmth. And you know, you can definitely still go outside, but you have to bundle up a little bit. So, so I just find taking some time to be outside in nature, because again, all the crazy thoughts that can like lead you to a spiral. When you go out in nature, we realize like, wait, I'm actually really small compared to
the world,
everything else that's happening. And also when you go out in nature, you're not like looking at a flower and you're saying, well, why didn't you bloom yet? Well, why didn't the bee come and pollinate you yet? Right? Well, why didn't you like release that odor yet? But you just watch it and you enjoy it. Right? Versus like in our own life, we're like, well, when's that going to happen? When's that call going to come in? When's that guy going to come? When's like whatever that's looking, we're operating on these timelines that we've imposed on ourselves, but we're also part of nature, and things are going to happen when they're going to happen.
When they're supposed to. What is your like food non-negotiable?
So definitely eating clean. I don't like to personally, I think everyone's different. So
I know you're flexitarian.
Yeah, I know. I love that.
I love. Yes,
I know you're not. I saw one of your videos that you're a non-dairy girl, so I get that.
But I still have pizza every once in a while. And cheese is like hard not to say. It's hard to say no to.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I grew up. My dad was a vegetarian. He's now vegan, which is impressive. But so I never ate a ton of animal protein. So I think it's about having a balance. Right? So there's a ton of different diets out there. There's a ton of different things you can do, but it's really about like having clean food in my diet. So the less ingredients on the list, the better. Meaning like avocado.
Like real food.
Yeah, like that's one ingredient, you know, like favorite food, right? Like not like this
Going
list
back to the basics.
Yeah, this list of things that you can't pronounce. So the same thing with minimize to maximize is like, let's uncomplicate things.
I know.
Right? So eating like clean food that I can pronounce, that have little ingredients on them, that are fresh, and you know, that's a really, really important thing to me.
They fuel your body. Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, and your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I always tell my clients, like, you're not going to be that like super successful CEO if you're eating cheeseburgers every day. Like it's just, you know, health is a 360-degree approach. And so for me, it's drinking lots of water, eating clean, but also eating intuitively. So if I like want that chocolate bar, which happens every once in a while, I'm going to let myself have it. And I think, and
enjoy it.
And enjoy it, and not making yourself feel bad about it.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Because then you put yourself into that stress mode, right?
Exactly. Then you might as well not have even done it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I ask everybody on my show if they had to sum up their mission in one word, what would yours be?
I love that. I love that question. So I would say that my mission is to empower people to live their best life. Like,
that's so amazing.
100%. I always tell people that I feel so grateful that I get to live the life that I live, but it's work.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm special. It's because I'm doing this work consistently. And that with this work, you can do that as well. And it creates a ripple effect in the world, right? One person does it and someone else does it. And people start to notice it. And you actually don't have to tell them. They just notice it in you.
Yeah. That is so beautiful.
Which is really special. And I want to share a little bit of magic with you, is that I think that when I was living in Toronto, I was like, oh, I really want to be in LA and I want to work in the health and wellness industry. And I came across your website. And so you have like amazing SEO and you know, you got it all.
I was gonna say,
And I scheduled a call with you, and we had a call
Oh, God.
a really long time ago. And I don't remember the details of the
Yeah,
call. I just
yeah.
remember it was such a dream of mine to kind of create something that you had created. And
Yeah.
I so appreciated you taking the time to do
Oh,
it. And
thank you for saying
yeah,
that on the show.
Yeah, it's true.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So, wow. Well,
Yeah, so that's our magic moment.
well, I think you're going to
Yeah.
go big places.
Thank
so
you.
I'm so excited to
Thank
watch you.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
being on the
much.
show.
Thank you for having me.